Good day, everyone. By the way, I am Jacqueline Jaime, and for today's topic, I'll be reporting about teaching English as second language in an integrated way, the micro-teaching activity. So, let's start by discussing the overview of ESL teaching in an integrated manner. Teaching English as second language or ESL using an integrated approach involves blending different language skills such as speaking, listening, reading, and writing into a united learning method rather than keeping the skills separated. So these methods combines them to create a more connected and complete educational experience. By intertwining the skills, the ESL teaching aims to provide a more realistic and practical way for students to learn and use English, preparing them for effective communication in everyday life by understanding how these skills work together in different situations. Now, what is micro-teaching? When we say micro-teaching, it is a teaching techniques that involves breaking down a specific teaching skills into a smaller or more manageable parts for practice and improvement. It's like a miniature form of a regular lesson plan. A micro-teaching activity typically includes a brief, focused lesson taught in a controlled setting, often to a small group or even just one individual. This mini lesson concentrates on particular teaching skills, such as concept or aspect of instructions, such as classroom management, questioning techniques, explaining a concept, or any other specific skill a teachers want to refine. Also, remember, micro-teaching is a teacher training technique that involves a cyclic process comprising 6 key stages. The first step is planning. It is where the educators meticulously design a short, focused lesson. Following this is the teaching phase, unfolds during which the lesson is delivered to a small group. Subsequently, feedback. It is where we gathered from peers or members and even supervisors the comments of our teaching techniques, offering a valuable insights into instructional strengths and areas for improvement. And then, the cycle then continues with replanning. It is where adjustments are made based on the received feedback, followed by the reteaching phase to implement those modifications. So the process concludes with refeedback, completing a continuous loop that refines teaching strategies and enhances overall pedagogical effectiveness. So this cycle repeats, helping educators to improve and grow by continuously refining their teaching methods. It's like practicing and fine-tuning to become a better teacher. Now, let's move on to the aids and apparatus of micro-teaching activity in an integrated way. In micro-teaching, tools such as checklists, timers, and recording devices help structure lessons and manage time effectively, aiding teachers in self-assessment and improvement. Additional tools like TV, films, and screens contribute to a conducive learning environment for practice and skill enhancement. Now, let's proceed to the example of micro-teaching activities in an integrated way. First example, the topic is storytelling. I bet all of you experienced this during our elementary grades. So storytelling is a small teaching activity that mixes listening, speaking, and writing skills. So the teacher or students read a story to the class, and then the teacher asks questions about the story. These help students talk about the story and practice listening and speaking skills. After that, students write about what they have thought of the story or what they have learned. This activity or this sport helps students practice different skills in a small focused way, just like micro-teaching, where they work on specific things in a safe learning environment. Second example is creative spelling bee. The creative spelling bee is also an example of micro-teaching activity in an integrated way. It is because it involves different language skills. Students speak words and make sentences to practice listening and speaking skills. They then find hard words, practicing reading and writing skills. In groups, they practice spelling, make sentences, and write about a topic, improving speaking and writing skills. So this activity is like a micro-teaching, focusing on specific skills in a controlled way. Next example is grammar detectives. Grammar detective is also an example of micro-teaching activity, where students work on different language skills. They start by fixing grammar mistakes in spoken sentences, practicing speaking and listening skills. Then, they read and correct errors in a passage to improve reading and writing skills. Finally, they talk about the corrections and write their sentences using grammar rules, enhancing their speaking and writing skills. So this activity is an example of micro-teaching. It is because it focuses on specific skills in a controlled setting for a more detailed learning experience. Now, let's tackle the advantages and challenges of integrated micro-teaching and teaching English as second language. Let's first discuss the advantages of micro-teaching. Micro-teaching helps us student teachers to practice our skills with a small group of students before teaching a bigger group. It focuses on sharpening and developing specific teaching skills and eliminating errors. This helps us to build confidence and prepared us for a variety of classroom scenarios. Through the micro-teaching cycle, aspiring teachers like us can get instant feedback, which we can apply in the next round of teaching. This helps in strengthening not only our skills, but also our teaching methods, and modify and improve their classroom behavior in a desired direction. It also improves our self-confidence and gives us an opportunity for self-evaluation. Now, let's discuss the disadvantages of challenges of micro-teaching activity in an integrated way. So, micro-teaching, while beneficial, it has limitations, such as poor planning might cause unrelated concepts to be conveyed, and techniques used might not always work for larger groups. The process is time-consuming due to the multiple cycles and might restrict a teacher's creativity. Though it's great for mastering basics like questioning and explaining, it doesn't cover all the teaching skills. So understanding these drawbacks is essential when using micro-teaching as part of teacher training. To sum it up, micro-teaching helps us new teachers to practice our skills in a small setting before teaching in larger groups, boosting our confidence and readiness for different classroom situations. Through quick feedback. However, it may not always fit well for larger classes and could not limit our creativity. It's great for mastering some basics like asking questions and explaining, but it doesn't cover all the teaching skills. So while micro-teaching is a helpful tool, it needs a careful planning due to potential limitations. And that would be all for my report. Thank you for listening and God bless.